holiday is sort of a farm-to-table holiday, if you think about it. And its tradition is one where you build this sukkah, this little house, sort of temporary shelter. And then the idea back in the ancient days was that people would harvest, bring it into the sukkah, and have a family meal. So the impetus for doing it was to have contemporary artists reinterpret the sukkah as seen from a contemporary perspective.
The inspiration for my design came mostly from just stumbling upon the material of AstroTurf, which I just kind of thought that that's an appropriate material as far as it relating to the sort of natural environment. I just kind of took it from there. I honed in from many ideas into a few ideas into this one. So I really scaled down from a really wide array of ideas. And this is a sustainability farm-to-table event in some way, but I had to be true to my desire to be have a strong aesthetic statement and a clear and concise design.
So I thought it went very well. I mean, Chez Pascal contributed food, as did other vendors, and having fresh produce there. I mean, but I know the feedback from Wendy McCall was extremely positive. That people really enjoyed it, especially some of the older members of the community and the singers.
I've been making sculpture for most of my life, so I know how to make things, and I figured it out in my head. I did a test pattern on a piece of lathing of what I thought it should look like, and once I got the test pattern and the spacing done, then building that was very easy. And again, I had an assistant, Eric Portress. He and I worked on it together probably a full week, a ton of the hours. Most of it was involved in gluing on the mirrors. And he's very good at fabricating, so this is very simple, straightforward, temporary structure. It comes apart in 4-foot by 8-foot panels. It can be reused. None of it was done. It was all done with the purpose of being something that could be reused and that would be strong enough to maintain itself year after year.
So there are certain rules and parameters that define a structure as a sukkah or not a sukkah, and those get very detailed down to very fine measurements and sometimes odd specificities. Pretty much the roughly 3 walls, although you can have a little less than 3, not 4, and that the roof is open enough that you can see the stars at night and that half sun, half shade comes through. So the idea of the sukkah being a temporary dwelling is really important, rather than it just being some permanent little hut out there. It's a temporary shelter.
My husband's father was Orthodox, and my husband has great memories of him celebrating that holiday, growing vegetables, and then building a sukkah in the back in his little garden and sitting there and drinking wine and being outside.
When I was growing up, in our sukkah, we would always hang a ton of fruit and just strap a bunch of natural materials all over the thing with branches and grasses, and it was beautiful as that, and that's how I remember it for myself. And then in the temple that we went to when I was a kid, there were just gorgeous amounts of like almost surreal, perfect gourds and all sorts of harvest vegetables and such.
I was brought up in a fairly Orthodox Jewish home, and my favorite holiday was Sukkot. And my grandfather, who came from Poland, would build this sukkah out of willow branches. And I remember as a very young child sitting there with him in the sukkah, having his homemade wine and watching the spiders crawl around. And it stuck with me as one of the wonderful holidays. A lot of the other Jewish holidays their takes on other types of things, not farm to table. So I just thought, well, this will be a great thing to do. Let's try it and see what happens. And I think the fact that it was a kind of unique take meant that people came to kind of see what artists would do.